say life's nothing but sucking your thumb and a tongue full of teeth in between. That's probably true in some other dimension, in someone else's dream.
Ever been to New Zealand?
Yes, well, my folks almost moved to Christchurch when I was real little.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't remember that. But when I was about 19, a friend of mine and I hitchhiked around the South Island. Aotearoa, did I say it right?
Yep, close enough.
Yeah.
I have an American accent too, and I have the same problem.
Yeah, and it was just life changing. I mean, every day was this magical, mystical, miraculous day. And, we didn't have a plan. We just, there's no predatory animals there. So if we would just, we'd be like, oh, it's getting dark. Let's go walk over here through the forest and pitch a tent.
Nope.
And it was a beautiful thing. There was a moment we were in the Cromwell, the cherry country, and we had our bags of cherries, and we'd gotten down to the bottom of the bags, and we're hitchhiking, and this truck pulls up, cherry truck. It's just the bed of the truck filled with cherries. The guy comes out and he's like, well, I can't give you a ride, but I can fill your bag with cherries. And and then he offered us a job driving his truck.
Right.
And we were like, oh, like life, this alternate timeline of my life flashed before my eyes. I was that close to just staying in New Zealand and being a cherry truck driver.
Yep, that's a very Kiwi experience you've had.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's the typical story.
Yeah. I love it. So, since it's Easter morning here, does the Nelson family have any Easter traditions that you can tell us about?
Well, my dad and I have birthdays coming up, and we usually kind of celebrate it all together with our birthdays all the same time. And usually we're all on tour, working, which is the case now. I mean, I'm home now, but I'll be on tour in a few days, and so will my dad, and it's kind of back to, I want to say normal times, but we're back to where we're all kind of on tour somewhere in some, mini adventure off somewhere. And then, we get together when we can. Usually it's involving, having to book shows at the same place, or, figure something out like that where we can all be together, or, end of the year kind of holiday stuff. But this summer I'll be out on the Outlaw Festival tour, this traveling festival my dad puts on. So, and I'll be playing in his band. I'll be doing a solo acoustic set earlier in the day. So it's really just a great excuse to spend time together.
Cool. So how was the time off during the pandemic for you?
Well, I think it was, pretty stressful for everyone, but I'm definitely one of the fortunate ones that had a place to be and family, and we were stuck there in Texas for a few months in the beginning, and the silver lining, one of them for me, was that, like I said, we're always in separate places traveling around working, and it was just this amazing kind of opportunity of like, well, we finally have time where we're all together, where we can hang out and make music together. So that's mostly what we did. We go into the studio a lot and just make music. We made that family album.
Right.
My dad played on a few of my songs on the Time Capsule album. And And we also grew food out at Luck at the ranch out there. I'd wanted for a long time to turn that place into a regenerative farm. There's a bunch of acreage out there, and for a long time it's been like a horse sanctuary, and it still is. But I thought, God, there's so much land here and so much potential. And then when the pandemic happened, my wife Alex and I were like, well, we should start growing food anyway. So that's what we did, and it was kind of this catalyst for. Now we've teamed up with a local regenerative farm, Terra Purezza, out there in Spicewood. And, they're collaborating with us. They come in our land and they're doing, rotation cropping, rotation grazing, and bringing the native prairie back and, bringing the soil back so that it's more absorbent. It doesn't just run off. And so that, ultimately you get the bird population back, and that whole chain. Right. That whole ecosystem gets reestablished, and it's just good for climate change. It's good for nutrition and local agriculture and food security and all these things. So yeah, that was another silver lining. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm so lucky I get to count some silver linings about the pandemic, in the midst of all the chaos and stress and trauma and, all of that.
And I'm assuming one of those silver linings is putting together Time Capsule, which is about to come out on the 22nd. So it's kind of like 5 years in the making, isn't it?
At least, yeah. I'd say it's 32 years in the making.
Okay.
Yeah, I just kind of, when we, it was like March 2020, and me and my bandmates were in Texas. We were about to do the Luck Reunion Festival, which is this annual festival on the ranch. And I decided, well, let's go a week ahead and we'll go into the studio and we'll cut some songs. And at this point, I had no idea that it was going to be Time Capsule yet. I just thought we were making a new record.
Right.
And so, shit hit the fan, and we were like, oh, wow. We were lucky that we had these few days when everything was so uncertain and crazy that we could focus on just being creative. And we were basically quarantined in the studio.
Right.
But I at one point I was like, you guys better fly home now, because I don't know if you'll be able to fly home in a week, which was true. They were like Indiana Jones through the closing door. Narrowly made it home, but then I was stuck there for a few months. But I remember during that time thinking about, how much I had all this music accumulated, and so much of it I thought was pretty cool, and it hadn't come out. And, there were, for a while I was thinking, well, maybe I'll put out a few EPs, because like these few songs kind of sound like they're part of the same theme, and these few songs, and maybe I'll put a bunch of EPs out. And then when COVID happened, I thought, if I try to do that, it's like, who knows how long it will be before I can share this music properly. I mean, even before COVID and just in general, I finish a record and it's done and it's mastered, and then you have to wait a long time after that before it comes out, and I'm always like moving on to the next thing.
Yep.
So by the time it comes out, I still like it, but I'm on to the next thing. I'm not really thinking about it, and it doesn't feel fresh to me anymore and what I was feeling at the time. And so I thought, why don't I just put all of this music on one record, but do like a double album, so it's just out there and I can keep going. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking about, I don't know why I started thinking about time capsules, but I was just, I guess, thinking about, wow, this is one of those moments in time. It's like a plot point, this is a pivotal crossroads we're in. And I just started thinking about how every song we record is like a time capsule. You know, we're capturing this
Capturing the
moment.
Yep.
Memory. And, you know, music is probably the closest thing we have to time travel, going back to the past. You know, it brings back so much when you hear a song that had some imprint on your nervous system at some point in time, or you knew somebody, or you had this powerful experience while this song was in your mind or playing, you know, and those experiences, we can revisit them with this music. And I just started thinking about that concept of time capsules. You know, a whole album is like this, it's like a time capsule. And I thought, well, why don't we call the record Time Capsule and just put all these songs on it, and it'll just be like you're putting all these random memories in a time capsule. And eventually that evolved into, you know, making.
There you go. Okay, now it makes sense.
This is one of the hemp-free time capsules I made out of hemp.
Right.
The inner core of the plant is this woody core, and you mix it with lime and water, and it makes this fireproof, totally regenerative, you know, lasts 1,000 years kind of mortar material, building material.
Yep.
And then here's a painted one. There's a bunch of different styles I have here. You know, they all look kind of different. They have their own unique.
Oh, that's cool. I like that one.
And then, so inside of each time capsule is a bag of organic hemp seeds that I grew and cultivated myself.
Right.
Along with a thumb drive with all the music,
right,
and videos and content. And then there's going to be a ticket to the concerts in 2042. And so it's like this long form time experiment. And the only way, there's 20 of these time capsules. They're limited to 20. And the only way you can acquire one is if you buy one of the lucky CDs that happens to have a randomly hidden time token inside of it.
Ah, okay.
You know, you buy your CD, you can buy as many CDs as you want.
I'm sure that's okay.
Up your chances. But if, you know, anyone can stumble upon one of these, you know. I don't know how long it'll take for every one of them to be found, but it'll be an experiment. And on the back of the time token will be a little code. You can scan it, and we'll send you a time capsule.
Nice.
So
that's pretty cool. Now you mentioned you guys had shared birthdays coming up, and my understanding is that the tune "All One Day" is kind of inspired, or that has something to do with that, and it's got Jim James and your dad on it and stuff, and there's some wild guitar playing on it. So what can you tell me about that and how that fits in with what you're talking about?
No, it's all one day. Out here in outer space. Happy birthday, everyone. Still living in the shadow of the sun, but it's cool.
Well, Jim also has a birthday around the same time as me and my dad.
All right.
It was around our birthdays in 2020 when we recorded this song. And I'd been thinking a lot about, actually, to be honest, speaking of time, this song I had written years ago, maybe in, well, you know, not super long, maybe 2016, 2017. And I finally recorded it in 2020. And I was thinking a lot about how, you know, our entire lives, we think about them as dissected into days and nights and weeks and years, but really we're in outer space. There's no days, there's no nights, you know. It's just, it's all one day, and sometimes it's dark, you know, but and we sleep every now and then, but it's really relative to being on this finite body orbiting a big light source. And and it's always your birthday, you know, it's the day you were born all the time. And so that's kind of where the song came from, and that idea. And it was also inspired by, you know, when astronauts re-enter
The Earth, yeah, the atmosphere.
they have this mystical experience they call the overview effect.
Oh,
Very common thing where they sort of have this psychedelic transcendent revelation about that, you know, about how time and space are the same thing. And, you know, we're kind of, we're just floating change, you know, and this feeling of being merged with the cosmos, and just this new expanded perception of our place on this little orb in the infinite void. And so that's kind of where that song came from. And Jim and I were texting about, you know, this was quarantine times. We were talking about our mental health and just
yeah.
And I thought, well, hey, why don't, you know, our birthdays are coming up. Why don't you play on this song, sing on this song? I'll send it to you. And, you know, cause it's something to do. Really.
There you go.
Let's focus our minds on being creative. Here's something to play with, you know, do whatever you want on this, and sing a verse, play whatever you want. And then same with my dad, you know, I played him the song and he liked it. And I sort of wrote that last verse for him to sing, and he played trigger on it. And
Right.
All the songs from that session, Velociraptor and All One Day, and, you know, they're very live.
Right.
We were kind of rushed, you know, because it was like, oh my God, the world's ending, we got to make this music. So they have a very spontaneous feeling to them that captures the moment, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like a guitar in All One Day. So are you guys in the same room? Who's playing? What kind of circumstances?
Well, that's a live take with me and Aaron, the bass player, and Tony, the drummer.
Right.
And then later, my dad came in and he played live to that. And I don't, you know, he maybe did 2 passes. I don't know, but it was just like, here it is. And that was it.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Trigger, your dad's guitar, but I'm kind of curious about your guitar. I've seen the clips, and you have kind of some kind of Fender. I don't know if it's a Strat or a Telecaster or whatever, but it's kind of it looks like it has a personality of its own.
Oh, they all do. Yeah. It's, I have a few guitars. I've got a Gibson Melody Maker Junior that's been through hell and back. And I think the guitar I played on that song particularly, though, was a Gretsch. What is it? A 6120. I'm not a guitar nerd, so
okay.
I don't know. It's an orange, cool ass looking Gretsch.
That sounds like I can relate to that.
That Poison Ivy from the Cramps played, you know, but it's like Chet Atkins model.
Yep.
And I replaced the pickups with P90s, and it's great. I got that one on the Flaming Lips tour. We did I think it was the first time we toured with the Flaming Lips, and I got it at Chicago Music Exchange, and it's just a great guitar. I think Gretsch guitars are underrated. Steven from Flaming Lips, we kind of have this half joke where he hates Gretsch guitars, and so
right.
I got that Gretsch guitar on that tour, and anytime I
annoy him,
I'd go up to him.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah.
One of the tracks I want to touch on was King of Ashes. My understanding is it's kind of a collage of several different versions of that song, and you kind of put them all together and turned it into what it is.
Oh, I'm a cadaver, but don't you put me in a box. I wanna grow like a tree forever. I wanna roll down in the rocks.
I'm making this up as I go all the time, really.
Yep.
Actually, we did that song in Austin during that quarantine session. We did a take of that, and I wasn't thrilled about it. And so what was it? It was, I think it was that year. It was the 4th of July picnic that year was a virtual thing. And so we drove out to the drummer, Tony. He lives out in like past Joshua Tree in the middle of nowhere in the desert. And we set up in his house and we recorded and played a set for this 4th of July picnic virtual show. And that live take, I thought it just had the thing, you know. I'm probably singing all pitchy and it's probably all kinds of bad wrong notes, but like it just had something that felt more like, just sounded cooler to me. And so I used that one as the main thing. And then I had actually, before we did that, I was in LA in the little garage studio there, and I'd tried to record an alternate version, just myself playing the drums and playing everything, you know, just record on a laptop. And I thought that was a cool version too. I'm like, wow, these are all kind of cool. Maybe I can mash them up, you know, so the best parts of this version and the best parts of that version are all represented. And so it just, there was a lot of like, well, why not, you know, on this record. It was like, fuck it, so let's just do it.
Just do it.
And yeah, do it. And then it came out pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. The album winds up with American Life, which is a tune I'm guessing has been around for a while, because I've seen all sorts of live things on YouTube and whatever. Does that song change for you as time goes by? Does it mean anything different now than it did when you first wrote it?
If they weren't afraid, none of this would seem brave. Do as I say, but don't be a slave. Born Sunday morning, die Saturday night. Who can define American life? Who can define American life? Who can define?
Yes, not only lyrically, but sonically, you know, the version, actually that's another one we did during the quarantine session. And that's the first and only time we ever played it during that session, is the album version. That was the first time the band learned the song, was when we played it and hit record, and that's what ended up on the record. But since then, playing it live, it's gotten heavier and louder and tighter and kind of more dynamic, and it's just got a different feel. So I'll probably put out a live version at some point, because I really like how it's evolved. But you know, the album version's great too. My dad's on that version.
Yep.
He got to do some weird stuff on that he doesn't usually do. And that's another great memory that I get to have forever.
Sure. Yep. Now there's a tune called Algorithm, which I guess my understanding is you kind of wrote it while you were on tour with Neil Young. Originally had something to do with the Trump election, and sounds like there's some saxophone in there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Dave Rollicki, a great horn player.
Oh, okay.
I recorded that at the Hen House studio in Venice. I think it was the night the Trump won the 2016 election.
Navigate my nervous system, but I can't find my algorithm.
I had written it though a couple, maybe the month before that. Yeah, we were on tour with Neil. We were in the bus driving somewhere. I think we were coming from Telluride, hitting a few stops on our way to Desert Trip.
Right.
When I wrote that one. You know, I don't know where it came from. I just got lucky. I was in the right place driving down, and it was in the air, and then bloop.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I assume that's a play on words with the Al Gore rhythm.
Yeah.
Like
Al Gore rhythm.
Yeah.
See, I hadn't even thought of that.
No, really?
I was just thinking like, you know, algorithm, like a, you know, code.
Right.
And then rhythm, you know, like your internal rhythm or the rhythm of your life or whatever. I hadn't thought about Al Gore, the person.
There you go.
There, you see, this is how this stuff unfolds. It's like this whole record is like that, where you know, you do something because it feels right, sounds cool.
Yep.
And then months later, you're like, oh, there's this whole other layer to that I hadn't quite realized yet. And let's bring that out, you know, and see what happens.
Yep. So a lot of the tracks on the album are long, kind of jammy, grungy sounding things, but then there are a bunch of little like intermissions almost that are, you know, a minute or even less long, that are kind of I guess tied them together. Tell me what purpose they serve as far as you're concerned.
They're like the glue.
Yeah.
Like the spray cheese.
A uniquely American phenomenon. Right?
Yes. Yeah. You guys don't have spray cheese in New Zealand?
I've looked all over, but
so my godsons, Nico and Tiago, we have this band that we started together called the Nerfs.
Uh-huh.
And, we started this band. They must have been, you know, 4 years old, and it's like 4 and 8 or something. And we would just hit record and just go and make stuff up. And it's just so much fun. Some of the stuff they come up with is outrageous and hilarious. And I just love capturing that and encouraging it. And so a few of these little interludes are these Nerfs moments.
Yeah.
Like we got him a vocal looper for Christmas one year, and so we started making weird beats and just making up stupid stuff. And I just thought that's a great memory. That's got to be on there. But yeah, the Nerfs. We've got a couple albums up on Bandcamp.
All right.
And yeah. Good stuff. It's
Nerf rock.
Yeah.
You have a tune called Rumpelstiltskin, which has this kind of campfirey vibe. Reminded me of Neil Young's American Stars and Bars a little bit, because there's some of that in there as well. I'm wondering if one has anything to do with the other.
I've been myself for such a long time. You might not know me anymore. I think I'll throw away this old mind, pick a new one off the floor.
I hadn't really thought about that, but I love that record.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a little Neil in everything.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's everywhere.
Not just me. Like I just feel like in every piece of rock and roll music that, you know, post 1970 something, there's some Neil in there somewhere.
I mean, you worked with him, you toured with him. Did you have any trepidation getting that close to a guy that obviously you feel, you know, musically you're in kind of awe of?
No, it's not like no, definitely not. If anything, the opposite. It's just
Uh,
feeling like completely in my element, like completely comfortable, and I know exactly what to do here in this universe. And yeah, we just read each other's mind and get along great. And I don't know, yes, sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes and everything they say, but I don't know. Neil's just always felt like family to me. And he's Uncle Neil. He's just
right.
he's like that to everyone who picks up a guitar
Yep. Yep.
song. And so yeah, I grew up loving his music, and I don't know, we just click or something.
Cool. Cool. So the album, how do you expect folks to digest or ingest Time Capsule? It's 108 minutes long, and in this world, things are mostly in sound bites and TikTok segments and whatever. So it goes against all that.
Well, it's not like a movie where you have to start from the beginning and you
Right.
have
Yeah,
to
that's
watch the
true.
whole thing to
Yeah.
get it. So people can listen to a minute of it, or they can listen to 100 minutes of it, or whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. There is a sort of journey from start to finish, and the feedback I've gotten from most people is that it doesn't feel like
Right.
that long when you listen from start to finish. The sequence of events, it has this story to it, this dynamic. And I think those little interludes, they kind of glue that together, and they give these dips and valleys to it. But yeah, I don't know. I never really thought about that. I love albums personally. I love to listen to whole albums. I got
Sure.
my
Yeah.
records back here, and
There you go.
your nice collection back
Got a
there.
few back there. Yeah.
Yeah. But I also understand. I love hitting shuffle and seeing what pops up.
Right. Right. Yep.
So you can listen to this record any way you want. It doesn't have to be start to finish.
So the record's out on the 22nd. Are you thinking? You mentioned that you're always kind of thinking ahead anyway. What are you thinking about as far as what do you want to do next, or what have you done next?
I'm working on a few different records right now, and some films and videos. I'm working on my house a lot.
Right.
That's a constant thing. Working on some paintings.
Hmm.
I do a lot of commission work.
Cool.
So I'm busy. I'm never bored, ever. Even if I had nothing to do, I would make something for myself to do out of whatever was around.
Yep.
Never been bored in my life, but
That's it.
So I don't know if I can talk too much about some of the stuff I'm working on right now.
Right.
But
keep it on the down low. Huh?
Yeah.
Very good. Well, I'm sure it'll be exciting no matter what it is. So
one thing I can actually talk about is I made an animated film with Neil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, based on his album Trans from 1982.
Oh yes.
Well, he recently,
a fan favorite for a lot of folks.
Yeah, it's great. It's such a cool album. It's like this sci-fi dystopian concept rock opera.
Yep.
And I'm sure you know the whole story behind that.
He got sued for not being himself.
Yeah. But he wanted it to be a film, right? And
right.
Be this short film with all the songs. And so that's what we made.
Cool.
I did the whole thing. I had a little help from my friends at Strange Loop Studio, but mostly it was just me and my computer and my hands, and my wife Alex helped me with some of the animation stuff.
So is it, the whole album is being filmed?
Well, the whole album originally was just 6 songs.
Right.
And Geffen made him put these other songs on it that didn't have anything to do with the story at all.
Yeah.
So he recently he re-released the original 6 songs, how they were meant to come out on his Archives thing, and Archives 3 is coming out as some box set at some point this year, and the trans film will be on that.
Okay.
Watch it.
Oh, Transformer Man. Excellent. I can't wait to see that. That'll be fun.
Yeah. It's another collage of brain teases. Yeah.
Excellent. All righty. Well, thank you for spending all this time with me. I appreciate it immensely. Come on down to New Zealand. You can do a tour with Tammy if you want.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Any excuse to get down there, man. I love it there.
Well, they've opened up the borders and all that. So hopefully things are back to normal very soon. But have yourself a great Easter. Enjoy those eggs.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.